The movie opens with the story of two brothers named Mac and Mock, who live on a small island with their mother. Both of them serve in the army, but their personalities are completely different. Mock is known for being cowardly, lazy, and unreliable. Whenever he faces danger or a difficult situation, his first instinct is to run away and save himself. On the other hand, Mac is the complete opposite. He is brave, responsible, and respected by everyone on the island. People admire him and trust him because he never backs down from danger. One day, Mac receives life-changing news from his girlfriend. She tells him that she is pregnant and that he is going to become a father. The news fills Mac with happiness, and without hesitation, he decides that he will marry her as soon as possible. Excited and hopeful about the future, he plans to share this joyful news with his mother and his brother. However, before he gets the chance, a serious threat appears. The island is about to be attacked, and all the soldiers are ordered to prepare for battle. Everyone must work together to defend their home. Mac, being the courageous soldier that he is, promises his girlfriend that once he returns from the mission, he will marry her and start a new life with her. He then goes home to see his family. By that time, his mother had already heard about the coming attack, and she was deeply worried. She has already lost her husband, and now both of her sons are being sent into a dangerous war. The fear of losing them weighs heavily on her heart. While Mac prepares himself to fight and protect the island, Mock has completely different plans. Instead of standing his ground, he decides that he will abandon the island and run away to a place where the war cannot reach him. He believes the smartest thing to do is to escape and return only after everything becomes safe again. As he prepares to leave, Mac stops him and confronts him. Mac cannot believe what his brother is about to do. He reminds Mock that they are soldiers and that it is their duty to protect the people of the island. Running away would mean abandoning everyone who depends on them. But Mock refuses to listen. His fear is stronger than his sense of responsibility, and he only wants to escape. Mock even tries to convince Mac to leave with him and avoid the battle entirely. But Mac has already made up his mind. He refuses to abandon his home or the people he cares about. He reminds Mock to think about their mother and what might happen to her if they both run away. Mac also reveals that his girlfriend is pregnant and tells him he plans to marry her soon. Now the choice is in Mock's hands, whether he will stand beside his brother and fight for the island, or run away like a coward. After saying this, Mac leaves. Although Mac walks away with determination, Mock remains behind, struggling with the difficult decision of whether to flee or stay and support his brother. The tension on the island rises as everyone struggles to understand who is behind the sudden attack. A military squad is sent to the shores to confront the intruders and defend the island. From a distance, the soldiers spot a group approaching and initially assume they are harmless civilians. But soon, the horrifying truth becomes clear: these are not ordinary people. They are zombies. Without warning, the Undead launch a violent assault on the soldiers. The squad tries desperately to fight back, but humans are no match for the relentless, unstoppable creatures. One by one, the soldiers are killed, and those who survive are bitten and transformed, becoming walking corpses themselves. Back at headquarters, nobody knows what is happening on the shore. Mac is then ordered to take his team and move forward immediately, as it has already been too long and no reinforcements have returned. Determined to protect the island, Mac leads his team through the forest toward the enemy. Along the way, they encounter what appear to be injured soldiers from the previous squad. Thinking they are merely wounded, Mac approaches, but he is horrified to discover they are actually zombies. The Undead ambush Mac and his team, and chaos erupts. Nothing seems to stop them. They feel no pain, only an insatiable hunger for destruction. One by one, Mac's teammates fall, leaving him alone to fend for himself. Terrified but determined to survive, Mac hides and moves cautiously through the forest. Finally, a zombie attacks him, but in a desperate move, Mac grabs a torch and sets it ablaze, burning the creature alive. Though all of his comrades are dead, Mac manages to escape and reach headquarters, where he reports the terrifying sight he witnessed: walking, living corpses roaming the forest. No one understands where these creatures came from, and the situation grows even more desperate. Senior officials call for backup from Mentown, but help will take time to arrive. In the meantime, Mac rushes to check on his family, anxious to ensure that his mother and pregnant girlfriend are safe. Fortunately, his girlfriend, who is a nurse named Penn, is tending to the injured and is unharmed, filling Mac with relief and hope amid the horror around him. Mac's girlfriend reassures him that his mother is safe, but Mac cannot stop worrying about his brother Mock. He tries to convince her that Mock will be fine, believing that his cowardly brother likely ran away and is somewhere safe. But suddenly, an injured soldier arrives and delivers shocking news. Mock had returned to the battlefield and was fighting alongside them. The revelation hits Mac like a thunderbolt. He realizes the horrifying possibility: either Mock is dead, or worse, he has become a zombie. His fears prove true. Mock has been infected and transformed into one of the undead. Now a zombie, Mock is torn between his instincts and his fading humanity. He feels an insatiable hunger for human flesh and blood, yet fragments of his old self remain. Memories of his brother, his mother, and the last words Mac spoke to him flash through his mind. He recalls how he had ventured into the battlefield searching for Mac, only to be ambushed by the zombies along with his team. Everyone else had perished, and Mock, gravely wounded, had risen as one of the creatures. He is not alone. Many soldiers on the island have succumbed to the same fate, their bodies animated by a strange, violent hunger, capable of attacking anyone at any moment. Amid this chaos, help finally arrives from the mainland. A scientist, accompanied by a captain named Nakamura, reaches the island and reveals a shocking truth that leaves everyone stunned. The scientist explains that the outbreak was the result of a secret experiment. They had been attempting to create superhuman soldiers, individuals with enhanced strength and agility to dominate any battlefield. However, the experiment went horribly wrong. One test subject gained extraordinary physical abilities, but all his emotions slowly vanished, replaced only by hunger and thirst for human blood. Over time, he transformed into a relentless predator, a creature that exists solely to hunt. Worse, anyone he bit became like him, ferocious, hunting machines. This is how the zombie horde came to the island. The scientist warns that the goal is not to kill them but to capture them alive, as further experiments are necessary to understand and control the creatures. Mac is furious as he listens to the orders coming from headquarters. Lives on the island are at stake, and countless families have already been turned into zombies, threatening to attack their own loved ones at any moment. And yet, the scientist insists that they must capture the zombies alive for experiments, claiming the outbreak is the result of his own project. Mac's anger boils over, but his superiors remind him that they have no choice but to follow orders. Frustrated and furious, Mac storms off to Penn, trying to process the chaos around him and the impossible decisions that lie ahead. The weight of the situation presses heavily on him. He is torn between duty, survival, and the safety of his family. Meanwhile, Mock, struggling with his fading humanity, remembers fragments of his past life, his family, his brother, and the last moments before the infection took over. Another zombie nearby experiences a similar flicker of memory, a brief but powerful connection to the life they once had. Compelled by these fleeting emotions, both zombies instinctively move toward the island, drawn to the families they once loved. But the hunger within them is stronger than reason. Upon seeing humans, the primal thirst erupts, and they attack uncontrollably. Mock, realizing the danger, flees to avoid harming his mother or Mac. People on the island witness Mock running, and word slowly reaches Mac. The horrifying truth that his brother has become a zombie sinks in. Determined to save him, or at least confront him, Mac ventures deep into the forest, where survival is uncertain and danger lurks behind every tree. Finally, Mac and Mock come face to face. Mock tries to escape, instinct battling remnants of his humanity, while Mac attempts to stop him, hoping to reach the brother he once knew. In the chaos, a zombie ambush bites Mac, and shockingly, he too succumbs to the infection. Now both brothers are undead, their human memories clashing with the insatiable hunger of the undead, leaving the island in a state of growing terror. Amid this chaos, the scientist begins implementing a meticulous plan to capture the zombies alive. Using calculated strategy, his team traps the infected in the forest to minimize risk. To test their reactions and understand the creatures, they even bring forward the zombies' family members. Seeing his father momentarily halts one zombie's attack, confirming the scientist's theory that strong emotions can temporarily control them. This insight becomes the foundation for a larger, chilling plan. The scientist intends to bring all the families into the forest so every zombie will pause when confronted with their loved ones. This will allow his team to safely capture and experiment on them, slowly bending the undead to human control. As the scientist orchestrates his operation with precision, the island teeters on the edge of total chaos, and the fate of its remaining survivors hangs in a delicate and terrifying balance. The question now looms: will the bonds of family be enough to restore some semblance of control, or is the island doomed to fall completely to the undead horde? Meanwhile, Mock, now fully transformed into a zombie, begins to understand the full scope of the chaos around him. He realizes that the scientist's plan, using the zombies as living weapons, has caused all this destruction. Anger and a fragment of his humanity drive him to act. He tries desperately to reach his brother, to remind him of who he once was, to stop him from becoming a mindless predator. But Mac, consumed by his new instincts and the overwhelming hunger of the undead, no longer listens to reason. Nothing human remains in him, he only sees power and conquest. The next day, the scientist leads a military squad into the forest, using the zombies' family members as bait in a calculated attempt to capture them alive. As expected, the zombies pause when confronted with their loved ones, giving the scientist's team a moment to act. But Mac, now fully in control of the horde, signals the other zombies. In a shocking and horrifying twist, the zombies turn on their own families, biting them and transforming them into creatures like themselves. Panic erupts, and the scientist and his team are forced to flee, helpless against the overwhelming force of the undead. Within hours, nearly everyone on the island, Mac, Mock, Penn, and even their mother, has been turned. The island has become a living nightmare, a colony of unstoppable predators. Mac views this as victory, a demonstration of his strength, but Mock watches in horror. He feels the slow erosion of his own remaining emotions and sees the same in the others. He realizes that if Mac leaves the island, humanity outside will face total annihilation. Driven by the last remnants of his conscience, Mock makes a final, selfless decision. He confronts his brother and the other zombies, including their mother, in a desperate battle to save the outside world. With every ounce of strength and the last flicker of his humanity, Mock fights, taking down Mac, the other zombies, and ultimately sacrificing himself. In his final moments, he ensures that the undead threat is contained within the island, sparing the rest of the world from destruction. The camera pans over the now silent island, scorched and scarred from the battle. Smoke rises from the forest, twisted shadows of fallen trees, and empty streets echo with the haunting silence of what was once a thriving home. A single torch flickers, carried by the wind, casting a pale glow over the devastation. Mock lies still, the true hero whose sacrifice prevented a global catastrophe. And while the island remains in ruins, the lesson is clear: courage, sacrifice, and humanity, even in the darkest circumstances, can still make a difference. The screen fades to black, leaving the audience with one lingering question. In a world consumed by chaos, who truly survives, the ones who live, or the ones who choose to fight for others, even at the cost of themselves?